Yo, what up, everybody? You already know Sly K Loco here with another episode of CannaConvos with Jay Blaze right here, the host of Organically Blunt. Bam. How you doing, brother?
Excellent. Thank you for having me this evening. It's a pleasure to be here.
Man, thank you for coming on, man. It's you've had me on your show, so it's about time that I have you on my show, right? And
Absolutely.
I had a great time on your show, man. I got to tell my story once again, and you did a lot of. You were actually one of the first ones to use that. What's the editing to do the clips?
Oh, I can't even think what you call it.
Yeah, the clip thing, and it just looks so cool. So now I'm using it to make my clips for the podcast too. So thank you for that.
Definitely.
So my first question, as I always ask everybody, as you already know how it goes, is I ask everybody about where they came up with their name. So how did you come up with Jay Blaze?
Well, I've always been known to all my friends as Jay. It's just what everybody called me, and my grandpa called me it too, and that name kind of stuck. Well, I've always been able to outsmoke all my friends, and well, I was a lightweight when it came to drinking back in my party days, but I could outsmoke anybody. So they just used to call me Jay Blaze, and it kind of came from the era of kids growing up playing like Mortal Kombat. Uh,
Okay.
Johnny Blaze and all them and all the characters kind of just came a spin off of that because that was my character as well that I always played in the game, and I would whoop everybody and they would be like, man, you're cheating, and they kind of just put the names together, and it became a name that everybody kind of called me by, like Jay, let's blaze, Jay Blaze, Jay Blaze, and it just kind of became a common name for everybody to know me by in my own personal friend group. So it was kind of just something I wanted to share with everybody else through the podcast. And I figured, not that I don't mind people knowing my real name or anything like that. It kind of gives me a chance to kind of keep some things personal because I was starting under my real name in the beginning, and I was getting so many friends requests that it was ridiculous. I'm talking right now, even to this day, I've got over 500 pending friends requests on Facebook.
Damn.
And it's like, I don't, if you want to talk business, come on over to Instagram, shoot me a message. I will gladly answer you personally. But sometimes I need my personal life to be a little separate. So I try not to.
So Facebook is like your personal page where you're like, all right, I know I'm famous, but like, I'm trying to be over here trying to have my alone time, right?
Right. Well, it's kind of like, on my personal page, I might get on there and ask a recipe on how to make something, and you wouldn't see me do that on the podcast because that doesn't go with that type of criteria. And that's how you got to learn to separate work and play a little bit. I've learned that the hard way, and I'm still learning it because everything is work for me. So I enjoy working, and I enjoy putting my craft into everything I do.
Nice. Hell yeah, brother. I love it. Love it. So how long have you been growing for?
I've been growing on and off since 2009.
Okay.
I started out mostly as an outdoor grower. My grandfather he was like my older mentor basically, but he kept it simple. And my family's always been involved in hemp and the hemp licensing when it was allowed here in Michigan.
Okay.
And
Let's talk about that. The hemp. Okay, for those who don't know, hemp was a big producer of paper, clothes. You can make concrete out of it. You can make. Now they're finding a whole bunch of stuff that you can do with hemp, and now people are getting licenses like you had to make a bunch of hemp products or make hemp for hemp products, which is, dude. Hemp is amazing. I heard that like if you put one of your hemp crops on instead of a corn, if you swapped it for hemp for 1 year, it would put all the nutrients back into the ground to where you would be able to like get better corn the next year. You know?
Absolutely. When they call that off-season growing, and
Yeah.
basically one season you're rotating and you might plant a field of soy, and then the
Yeah.
next season you'll plant your corn, and then the next season you do your cannabis, and then you just keep rotating. And then what that does is that recycles and revitalizes the soil, just like you said, and basically puts the nutrients right back into the ground. And it's a wonderful thing out here. I mean, it's common where I live. We see Amish people riding down the road all the time. I mean, it's common here. And, my parents live right in front of the Amish schoolhouse, my actual biological mother. I call my grandparents my parents, but my biological mother is still considered my parent. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah, but it's a community of hardworking people and a lot of blue collar around here, and that's how I learned how to grow. Is my grandfather was very simple. We went to a local farmer and got manure, fresh manure from his farm. Cow manure. Brought that home by the truckloads, and we traded cases of beer for it. We didn't pay for it.
Really?
That's how it was. It's a barter system. I mean,
Yeah, because the barter system, once
and
it comes down to it,
you
like the
know,
basic of it, the barter system is what we're all going to be doing. If like the money falls through and all that, I'll give you weed, you give me fucking manure, or whatever, beer for manure and shit. Like that's something we need to
yep,
get down, because we're gonna need that shit later, man.
absolutely.
So
You ain't lying, definitely. And I I sourced everything locally, so
and you grow organically too, right?
definitely. And all organic, very simple, no bottled nutrients. The most bottled thing I've used in all my grows is an IPM of Lost Close Plant Therapy, and that's it. And that's all organic, and it's even got an organic stamp of approval last I knew. So, they meet the organic standards to be considered an organic product. And there's a lot of healthy stuff in that product versus something that might have a lot of chemicals in it. And there's a lot of things that I should be trying, and I'm willing to try, but sorry, had hair in my mouth there. But I don't play with neem oil at all. So
Okay.
like neem oil is just not my thing. I guess some people spray it on their plants and stuff, but I like to know that my plants are completely clean of anything. This next batch that I'm going to be planning, we're actually working on our next series. I'm going to take some time off of interviews. I'm finishing out at 52 for the year, and we're basically going to put our attention into this auto series and break it down to how you set up the auto watering system, how somebody can basically grow that doesn't have any knowledge, but also we want to make it catered to the experienced grower too. And we're gonna let AI control the whole environment, and that's the next step. And the next thing I see indoor growing going with in the future here very closely, you're going to see a lot of other growers using the same thing. It is all the hype right now, and we all are testing it out firsthand to see if it can stand up to what it does versus what we put into controlling our environment firsthand. And my next batch of soil, it's all locally made here in Michigan from Country Roots Soil and Amendments, and everything from the biochar to the worm castings to the dry amendments that we're going to mix in to the soil to everything in between. The saplings come right from local native woods. Everything's native to this area. So you're growing in something that is native to this area versus something that might not work in your area. We're making sure it works in this area, and everything is pretty much sourced for it. My soil is kind of a I'd say a 2-year bake. We've
Okay. So
we've had,
you do grow in soil.
yes, I grow in only soil, and
Okay.
this soil has been sitting for 2 years, and it's been mixed and re-amended, and
Well, hold
ori-
on. for those who don't know, what you can do, because there are a lot of growers out there, like I was one of them, that I was just getting rid of my soil. Every grow, I would just go get another bag whenever I needed soil, and I would just spend. So it's very easy to waste money like that. In fact, and when you're doing that, a bunch of soil builds up in your backyard because you don't know what to do with it. So you just go in and throwing it out there, right? Well, I did that, and then I've learned the organic way is that you take that soil and you just amend it and let it cook, which is just you amend it, put a bunch of worm castings, organic nutrients into it, and you just let it sit. You just let it sit for, you said, 2 years.
Yeah, I've let this sit for about 2 years. It went through a cycle of being used, though. That's the thing.
Okay.
You know, originally it was kind of a lot of soil that was tested, but then we mixed in a lot of country roots soil into it. So it's about 80% country roots soil, and the other 20% throughout the last couple of years of us growing indoors. Instead of throwing it out, like you said, because we were doing that,
yeah,
we started emptying our indoor grow bags and pots into totes and making it so we can re-amend and mix it with different amendments and nutrients that we put into it, like kelp meal and blood meal and, you know, aloe vera chips and different
kelp
things
meal.
like that. Yep. And just made it real nutrient packed. You know, one season we even mixed in the Builder Soil 3.0 mix and let that go through a cycle, and then we recycled it back in. And like I said, it's got a lot of different soils in there, but 80% of it is country roots, and then we top it off with his grow blend and before we even plant in it, and we let it sit for a couple weeks, let our cover crop kind of grow in, and then we plant right into it. And I'm going to be doing a whole hands-on video series with this stuff, so it's going to be a lot more detailed than what I'm explaining here, because we're still waiting on a couple parts to show up. The holidays kind of messed up the shipping, and things that weren't working out to our advantage on a couple things, you know. And when like with the watering system, they sent us, I think it's maybe a 1.5 gallon reservoir. Well, when they realized that we needed a bigger reservoir, they sent out a 5 gallon reservoir, and we're gonna plumb that all in. But we got to wait for it to arrive. So we're waiting on that, and then we're waiting on a dimmer for our light, because our light, it's Bluetooth, the current dimmer, but it doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't like my phone. It doesn't want to connect to it. So
what do you got? A Samsung?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
yeah, me too.
and so long story short, me out of 142,000 light fixtures sold in the past year, from Sandlight, we which we're going to be testing and revealing this fixture very soon as well. We just got so happened to be the lucky one that the dimmer didn't work on it. So
well, there you go. Now they know. Now they know.
Yep. So we're gonna go to manual dimming instead of Bluetooth. That way we don't have to worry about and relying on that technology. We can just get in there, and as the plants grow, we'll bring it up in percentage, and you know, as the plants need it. You know, that way that it won't be as controlled by the app or the AI as far as that, but our AI is going to be controlling our lighting schedule. It's going to be controlling our circulation, our ventilation. I run an active intake and an active exhaust. Most people only run an active exhaust. I actually have fresh air that's pulled in through ducting and inline fanning into the tent, and then I have the exhausted out through a charcoal system.
I do too. Yeah.
Yep. And that's how we're setting up this auto tent we got going. But it's going to be a full living soil bed, 4x2 tent with a custom sized bed that we had made from grassroots that fit inside there. That way, but we didn't want it to bowl the walls. We didn't want it to take up all the space and block the portholes. So we got it custom measured out. He dialed it in and he put his touches on it. And these kits, you know, you got to build the frame. It's PVC. That is very cheap. You go down to any hardware and pick it up. think it's 1 inch, and you just cut it with some simple cutters you can pick up there. Don't do it the hard way. Don't get like a hacksaw or chainsaw. They make cutters that are like just you click them.
The ratchet cutter, ratchet cutters, right? The click,
Yep.
and then it just cops it off. I know that because I had to do my irrigation system this year, and so I did a lot of that fucking thing, that click.
Definitely. And we built the frame. The tent's been up, so I'm kind of gonna break it down in our upcoming series and explain. Everybody, if you're here, you should know how to set up a grow tent, and you should know how to put a bed together. If you don't, they come with directions. We're not going to get into that, but we're going to show you how to lasagna your soil, what each layer stands for, and what its benefit is, and then we're gonna let it sit for a couple weeks. Show you guys how the cover crop rows in, and then we'll plant. Because we're doing autoflowers, we want to have that cover crop established before we plant into it, because we don't have a big window. So we want to make sure we can take advantage of what we have. And that cover crop will feed nitrogen and other nutrients into the soil, and it helps retain the moisture from evaporating off the surface of the soil by holding it in.
There's some people out there that still don't know what autoflowers are. Now, for those who don't know, autoflowers are, there's a sativa, an indica, and a rurales. I think I'm saying that right. And rurales is what autoflowers are. They are different than the other two, but they have the properties of them both, because now of breeding, we have been crossing them, right? So now there's, bigger autoflowers than that. But it's in the name, it autoflowers. So when that happens, you're not in control of this, flipping it to, like with photoperiods. Photoperiods, you turn it on the light to a 12-12 cycle, and then it'll start flowering, right? But not with autoflowers. Autoflowers, when they hit the mature state that they're at, they're just going to start flowering. You have no control over this. So be ready to have nutrients in there, your cover crop already ready, like Jay was saying right here. And because this plant is going to go. And when it goes, it goes. Now, my my brother-in-law, his autoflower just died on him out of nowhere. And it was like, man, because be careful, people. They are finicky. So be ready.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what we're going to show, we're going to help try to walk some people through it. We're working with our first night owl seeds. We had night owls send us a couple to try out, because they're known for their autoflowers. And our community kept hyping them up and telling us we had to check them out. So we got in touch. He sent us a couple to try out. We're going with the Grape Debo, sorry.
Oh, the Grape Debo. Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram page.
Yeah, and it's a massive grower. I mean, I went and did some research, and these colas are like 2 liters. And we're going to see what we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to see what happens, and it's going to be fun. I mean, it's going to be unique, especially in that small of an area, but, it's going to be fun to do. And with autoflowers, like you said, you don't have to change the lighting schedule. So we're going to show how easy it is to be a hands-off type grow as much as possible. We might get in there and do some low stress branch training, but I'm not doing any topping. I'm not doing any femming. Other than low stress with the branches, we let the plant naturally grow how it's designed to grow. And we show you how a true autoflower would produce. If you were somebody that really didn't have a lot of experience, you could keep it live. You could keep the soil watered with the watering system, so you didn't have to worry about overwatering, underwatering. The soil, like we said, has been baked and built up, so you don't have to do anything but literally make sure it's staying moist. And it's going to have enough nutrients to make it through an autoflower grow. You should be able to get a couple grows out of that soil before you have to recharge it with amendments and build it back up, because it's going to be so dense in nutrients that autoflowers, they don't go long enough like a photo to suck everything up out of your soil.
Yeah. So you gotta, because autoflowers will usually be around maybe 7 weeks,
almost 7-8 weeks. Yeah,
7-8 weeks, about the same time that you would veg. Well, me personally, that I would veg a photo period is the whole time for an autoflower. So you guys, You ain't got much window there, but I'm sure you're gonna kill it, man. That sounds fucking
I'm hoping
amazing.
so. Definitely.
Good.
You know, I love autoflowers, and a lot of people are like, "Well, what did you start with?" I unfortunately started with autoflowers because,
Why would you say unfortunately? I think that's
well,
smart.
let me explain. And
Okay.
I went. I was a medical card holder in here in the state of Michigan. I walked into a dispensary. That's where we got our seeds back in the day because we didn't know where else to go unless you mail ordered them overseas, and I didn't have access to that right in the beginning as a medical patient. I knew of a grow shop. I went there. They had seeds in a little like card display thing, and I picked a couple out, and that was that. And they were autoflowers because the guy was explaining to me that I didn't have to flip the light. So I did it, and I was doing everything. I burned them. I've stunted them. I've had it where only one nug grew on the whole plant, and people are like, "How did it do that?" I'm like, "I have no clue." I've had it where leaf variations change, color variations. I mutated them so much that I've learned that it's truly is hands off, and the less you do with them, the more, at least in my experience. If you are training them and you're producing bigger yields, congratulations, you figured out a trait and a skill that I need to learn, because it doesn't work for me. I don't want to stun them, so I let them do their thing. Other than I spread the branches out. I
Yeah.
use like the bud trainer clips, and I get the branches so they spread out more, they get more light penetration, and I get bigger yields that way versus doing anything else with them. Um, yeah, and
Nice.
I used to grow them in space buckets, so it was kind of where I just put them in a bucket, inside a 5-gallon bucket with a light inside it, and it was hidden and nobody could see it. And you put them in the closet, and you'd grow a plant in 3-gallon pot, and you'd have a couple ounces if you got lucky.
Yeah, there
But
you go. Now you got some
but
weed and boom.
yeah, that's kind of where I started with that before I got into full indoor, because I was always outdoor. Like I said, my family was involved in hemp, and they'd have fields north of me, and my family would put signs even out by the road. It would say, "Not THC, hemp." And people would still come and cut like top buds off plants and steal them. And
Yeah,
before,
because people don't know, dude.
right.
The knowledge that we know now is not what people knew back then. Because back then, like
Yep.
you would still take a little bit. Like, and still to this day, I'm sure there's some people out there that think that you could like microwave some bud and dry it
Right.
quicker and do this shit. And it's like, no, people, no. The information is out there, guys. Just look it up. You can't do that. I mean, you could, but you don't want to, man. And plus, on hemp, for those who don't know, hemp is like zero point 0.1 THC, something like that. It's not worth it, guys. And it grows big. It's not. Some people are so
The
misinformed.
plants are beautiful. I mean, you'll look
Oh,
at them and you'll be like, "Wow, that's the most beautiful
because
bud
they grow like
structure."
what? They grow like 10 feet, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, and they grow them out there. They have trellises set up. The only way I can explain it is that's even close. It would be like grapes, and they set these trellises up, and they they're literally like rows of hedges, and you're just like, holy cow! Like the first time I seen an actual full field full, it literally takes your breath away, because you're like, well, I've been growing like 12 in my house, and now I see this, and it's like, holy crap, because I didn't get exposed to the farm side of it until after my grandfather fully passed away. And then my cousins, they were like, "Oh, we got a hemp farm north of you. Come check us out," because they heard about the show. And I go and check it out, and I'm like, wow. But they keep it under such tight clearances now, because exactly like I said, people would stop on the side of the roads and literally sneak up into the field and cut tops of plants and take off with it, not realizing it's not going to serve the purpose they want it to, because they sell it mostly for the hemp, like the fabric and stuff, and they get it produced, and they have a company that comes in and they literally produce the whole field in like a day when it comes to harvest. But it's a big machine. They're not worrying about the trichomes, because that's not what they need.
Yeah, no, they just need the fibers, because the
Yep,
fibers is
exactly.
what makes everything. The fibers have been in use for thousands of years, actually, man. They used hemp back in the day for rope. They used hemp for mainly rope, which was
Yep,
very, very, very important back then, because they needed rope for pulling sails up, for all
right.
this other stuff. So, and dude, the properties that it could do now are amazing, man. This the concrete, the hemp concrete. I'm telling you guys, I'm going to put a little bubble up here that will tell you everything about it, because that is such a cool
Oh, it
subject on its
is
own.
definitely.
The properties that it has that we probably are just relearning. If you want to be real with it, we probably knew about
Right.
this shit a long time ago when we forgot. But because of prohibition and all this shit, the prohibition on cannabis, it totally stopped that industry of hemp that was actually going somewhere. And for those who don't know, that's how the prohibition had started. One guy who had an interest in paper um, went over lobbying to the people in Congress and got them to ban it and scare people and say it came from Mexico, and that's why they call it marijuana. And it was racist, man. God, bruh.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But
My
yeah,
my family, they've always been involved in that type of stuff. My great grandfather was literally a real lumberjack. He owned a lumber mill. My family's been involved in milling and lumber since probably the mid 1800s, and my town is actually known for that. Well, at least the county I live in, it's called Muskegon, and it stands for Muskego, because the Indians were musky fishing and one got away, and that's how they named the city. But it was a lumber baron town. My grandfather, if he wasn't doing lumber, he had a team of mules, and they would go and cut ice blocks out of the local lakes, because that's what we have, is so many lakes here. And he'd take them ice blocks, and they'd sell them to people to put in their ice boxes before there was refrigeration. So
yeah.
like that's a little bit of my family history, and they've always been involved in hemp and everything else. So it's kind of like agricultural and
It's built in
horticulture.
you. It's in
Yeah.
you. Right?
Yep.
Well, I wanted
Yep.
to go into my next question. How long now your podcast? Since you brought that up, like you have a show. For those who
Yep.
don't know, which you should know already, he has a podcast here. Jay has a podcast called Organically Blunt on YouTube, and it is killing it. He's been doing it for how long have you been doing it?
It's going to be 4 years in February. I want to say the 8th, but
Hey,
don't quote me.
yeah,
I'm not good on the exact date. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can see the day that it was
that was
created.
started.
And I know it's in February, and we're going on our 4th season here. I'm starting to book slots for our 4th season. So if anybody is interested in coming in and telling their story, don't be afraid to reach out, because
Now
I've interviewed.
he's had mad people on like Chad Westport, Frankiezz. You've had El Connoisseur, the homie El Connoisseur. If you do have El Connoisseur on again, by the way, which is one of my questions on here, is to let you know, don't forget to sock check that fool, right?
Okay, all right, yeah. I bet he's probably got two different ones, right?
Yeah.
My sister does that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Good. Oh, but it's a badass podcast, man. You've been doing it forever, and I really commend you on that. You've had a lot of good names on there, and you've had one badass one with me too. I've also been on
Absolutely.
your show, so I want to thank you for having me on too. Um,
Anytime, you're
how
welcome
did you
back
come up with
anytime.
that name, Organically Blunt? I mean, it's such a good name.
Well, eh, it's kind of a two-way story. My grandfather and me, we started a company called Sticky Mitts Vinyl and Graphics. I'm a graphic designer. I own a vinyl shop on the side as well. It's
Okay.
not as popular as it used to be. Everything's printed graphics now versus what it was back then. But we knew that we wanted to have blunt in there somewhere, because I've always been very blunt. Like, I
Okay.
literally don't candy coat nothing, and I'm right to the point. And I've always asking the questions that people don't ask. And organically, because it's natural, it's just who I am. I can't change my character. It's who I am. And some people, take it as me being cocky, and some people take it as me being too honest, and some people,
Arrogant or something like
yeah,
that. So you're
but
just
it's
actually
it's it's just me. And the name came together, and Arby's is honestly where it came together. Is I mean, it was always a pocket ace, the blunt part, but I didn't know what to put in front of it yet. And I was trying to make it, you know, flow and be something people could remember. And I was standing in Arby's, and they were really slow at getting my food. And I kind of just spoke out loud, but mindfully. And and the guy next to me started cracking up, dying laughing. And he's like, "Dude, you're like organically blunt." And I'm like, that's it. Yes, I'm organically blunt.
there it
And,
is.
and that was the name. And I came home. I told my brother, and I told my best friend. It used to be a 3-piece show, and they loved it. And we all had to have stage names, so we developed stage names. Mine was given. Theirs they had to figure out, and we came up with them. And we ran pretty much a whole season. The first season, mostly audio, until I got comfortable enough to be video.
Okay.
Um, because I have alopecia, my hair falls out. So
I'm sorry, man.
autoimmune disease and no control, no cure. And then I didn't have any hair right here on my chin, none.
Okay.
And um,
What do you do now? So what happened? You grew it out or what?
I hemp shampoo, believe it or not, hemp shampoo.
Ah, hemp
Um,
to the rescue again, huh?
on top of biotin, so I make
Mhm.
sure that it's all natural and no preservatives, no oils, no nut dyes, like cleanest shampoo I can get. And I use that, and my hair started growing back because the only other way to use like a topical that's a medicated topical, but it causes acne, and
Mm.
that's no fun. And
Yeah.
or get steroid shots in my head,
No,
and
man.
I'm
There's
not
always a
doing that.
side effects with those kind of
Yeah.
things. There's always side effects. There's
Yep.
never not like organic stuff is the only one where I like. There's never really side effects with organic. I don't like.
Right. So I've been using that shampoo and stuff. And the thing about alopecia is it lies dormant in most men until their 30s. So you could have it your whole life and not know it, and then hit your 30s, and all of a sudden hit the back of your head, your chin, your eyebrows, anywhere. It depends on what version you have. Some people have totality; their whole body loses all their hair, and your hair follicles are a disease to your immune system. So
Was
your
that
immune
was that hard to deal with growing up, man?
I didn't know I had it until I got
Okay.
older.
Okay.
I kind of knew, but I didn't know what it was. My legs would used to get very inflamed because that's what happens is your body fights your hair and then it becomes inflamed, and my legs would get so inflamed that the hair would just fall out. So I have no hair on my legs. So
For
like,
those who don't know, I know it's like it's something that should be common knowledge, but for those who don't know, an autoimmune disease means your body starts attacking your own body. Like your body
yeah,
gets confused and thinks that parts of you are bad. And so then it starts, fighting whatever it is, your hair follicles. It happens to a lot of people to where um, it happens in blood disorders too, I think. I'm sorry, I can't remember. I don't know about that, but man, that sucks, bro. Shit.
yeah, and the only way I can explain how it feels to put it into anybody can relate. Imagine getting a tattoo all over your body but you've been getting tattooed so long that your skin is like that hypersensitive,
Yeah.
and that's how my whole hair feels all over my body.
Oh man, I
Yeah,
think, bro, I'm all tatted up. So,
yeah, so am I.
oh
And that's how it feels, and it's not that it's painful, but it's like annoying.
yeah,
And
that your skin's all irritated and swollen,
right.
that inflamed. Oh man,
and
fuck.
and 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 your body, because it's so different compared to regular people. So if I use an anti-inflammatory, it does the opposite to my body. So if you took like Advil or Tylenol and said, okay, this will help me, or like even
Ibuprofen.
ibuprofen for the redness, and it would make it look like I was sweating and my whole body was all red and on fire, like I took niacin or
That's
something.
what I was just about to say. Like, you took some fucking niacin.
Yep, and that's what Tylenol does for me and stuff. So like I can take it; it'll get rid of the pain for the headache,
But
but the
then you're
rest of
dealing
my
with.
body is dealing with like a sunburn, and that's
Yeah.
what it feels like. Is a
Well,
whole
sometimes those headaches are that bad, you know, to where you
oh
just don't
yes,
give a shit. You know, you
yep,
gotta get rid of it. But damn, brother, that's gotta suck, man.
yep,
And there's no cures, anything like that, because they can't really cure anything like that. When they do send people with autoimmune diseases like medication, it's usually something to suppress
yep,
your immune system, which
and
is
I
not good, because if you suppress your immune system, that leaves doors open for pathogens to get in, and
yep.
then you can get sick, man. And
And that's what the card is for. When I went to the doctor, which I'm up for renewal this year, we got to renew our medical card every 2 years. Got to see a
we gotta
doctor.
do ours every year.
Yeah. Ours used to be every year in the beginning, and then the doctors couldn't keep up with it, so they had to do it every 2 years so they could schedule it out. And but now you can do it over Zoom, so it's really cool, and it's actually three-quarters of the cost of versus going there. And you know, I think it's like $90 now versus 250 what it's usually, and it's good for 2 years, and it allows me to possess 24 plants growing, and I think it's 7 or 9 ounces on the person transport, so it's pretty good there. I mean, it's very lenient. The state is. I'll give it that compared to a lot of others, but
Compared to
the
Texas, ah.
yeah, but the knowing part of it is the doctor's got to know exactly what your condition is, and he didn't know what alopecia was. I had to break it down, and I'm like, this actually suppresses my immune system, and he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, my body isn't on fire when I smoke it, like, and he's like, wow. He's like, that's amazing, and so they've added that to the list now that of stuff that is allowed to be considered a medical a
The
ligament.
reason for cannabis is
Right.
alopecia.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Well,
So it
I mean, hey, congratulations, brother. You just helped thousands of people that you don't even know, dog.
right.
Congratulations,
Exactly.
man.
Yeah.
Anybody out there, if you get a medical card because of alopecia, thank Jay over here, man, because you wouldn't have that if it wasn't for him. Hell yeah.
yeah, and it was a good thing, to get it put on there because the doctors were like, "Well, that's nothing. We don't see anything wrong with you." And it's kind of like mental health. I'm big on mental health awareness too, is because you can't see it, so people think you're okay. No, that don't always mean the case, and mental health is big with me. So I
I'm
if
huge on mental health too. I'm going through some shit right now, and I'm trying to keep my mental health like I've
hey,
barely started going to counseling to start talking to somebody. The way I grew up, man, we're from the hood,
yep,
man, from the
yep.
hood, and you raised Mexican, and you're told that you gotta, just shut up and man up and shit. And now everything's catching up with me, man. And so I gotta fucking talk to somebody, man. I'm just
Hey, it's
mental health is
good. I found that doing this right here has helped me so much. I I lost my family to COVID, 4 years ago, 3 days before
rest in heaven,
Christmas.
by the way. Rest in heaven
Yeah,
to the grandpa.
I appreciate that. But I'm comfortable enough to talk about it, and that is actually part of my grieving and part of my therapy on everything and all the hardships is getting the chance to come on here and talk to people and just talking about what I'm going through actually takes so much pressure off me that it makes it easier. And it's hard. I come from the same type of thing you did, not necessarily Mexican, no disrespect, but um, I came from where we were blue collar. We didn't talk about it. We just put our nose down and kept working. Like it didn't bother you. You didn't talk about it. You were okay. Like, and I had to learn to vent out somehow, because I was so sheltered that it wasn't good. And that was the whole reason the podcast was designed. Was one, I wanted to re-educate. I wanted to be involved in the industry, but I didn't want to be involved on the metric side of things and be shoved into bud tending or something like that. And
to the capitalistic side, where
right.
you make money and shit. Like, because right now you're providing something that's more important than money, I feel, and it's
Yes.
information. Okay,
Yep.
you're putting out this information that was gate kept for a long time, and now me, you, people with these kind of podcasts are getting it out and trying to teach all these people how to grow these things that that this knowledge was not available a couple of years ago. So
Absolutely. And it's always changing, I mean,
constantly.
consistently, the way I grow this year might not be the same way we do it next year. And people might be like, why'd you change it up? Some people are set in their ways and some people are willing to keep changing. And I just so happen to be a nerd when it comes to technology. So when I find a shiny new object that I feel is going to make it easier, I got to get my hands on it. So
Have you tried the blue mat system?
I have the blue mats on my 5x5 system. And
Hell yeah.
this next system we're trying is called the Thirsty Earth. And
Okay.
I can't even say the word right. It's like oyas. I think that's how you say it, oyas. So they're big terracotta oyas that fill up chambers in the water. And it's kind of like the blue mat system, but they're bigger. And we're going to put 6 of them in the bed, but it's going to give it a little more of an even watering. And the plants, what they actually do is the roots will actually attach to these oyas and suck the moisture from them. So the plants will get a direct feed to the water and take it as they need it. And as long as we keep the reservoir topped off and we don't run out, we don't overwater, we don't underwater, and we'll be monitoring everything by a very cheap piece of equipment that you can obtain even through Amazon. It's called the Eco Wet, and the Eco Wet is
Eco what?
Eco Wet.
Eco wet. Okay.
Wit, like witty, like
witty.
smart.
Okay. Eco wit. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I get tongue tied on it.
Yeah.
But the Eco Wit is a wireless moisture meter, and I got the hub because you can do it to the app to your phone, which don't cost nothing. But I wanted it to go to the hub and be able to read the moisture right on the hub. So almost like a display in the tent too. So that
Yeah.
way I didn't have to boot my phone up or log into the app. It's right there. And we did that, and basically it reads the moisture and it lets me know, hey, I like to keep my bed at about 42% in the morning and taper down to 32% throughout the day before I water up. And that's
Okay.
how I keep my moisture. So if I water up at 42% today and it don't get to the level for 2-3 days because the plants have what they need,
Yeah.
I don't water up until it gets back to 32, because then you're never over watering. Yes, you're using an auto watering system to maintain the moisture, but you can't rely on that. And that's another thing that I want to let everybody know, is just because we have it doesn't mean it's going to take 100% of the watering away. You're still going to want to make sure you have an ideal moisture level in your soil, because you can't rely on something that might not give the plants exactly what they need.
Especially autoflowers.
Right. So we're basically using that to maintain it while we're gone on the road. But at the same time, we're going to water it up to the percentage that we want. I've always followed Build a Soil, and Jeremy over there, he used to water his beds up to 42 and let them trickle down to 32. So that's where I got it. And, I asked him, and he introduced me to this sensor way back, and we got it in our big photo tent, but we're going to put it in the auto tent too. And the cool thing is once you buy one hub, you can get the meter with just the display for like $30. And then it connects to that hub, and you can have separate zones, and it can basically monitor as many tents as you want to put on it. And you can go on the app and see them. If you're on the road, you can see all your grow systems, or if you're just popping in, checking on them, you can see it right in front of your face. So it makes it so that you're not overwatering your plants and giving them more than they need.
Cool, man. Hell yeah. For those who don't know, the blue mat system also, like when you had mentioned don't let it go dry, that's what, like, do not let that reservoir go dry, because then you have to reset the whole carrots And like if you went to go fill up that reservoir because you think, oh, it's dry, oh, it went empty, let me refill it. All that water is just going to spit right out, and you're going to have a big flood,
Oh yeah.
depending on how big your reservoir is. So if you have a 5-gallon resi and you refill that, you're going to have 5 gallons of water on the ground. So make sure to do that. That's one thing, that there's a learning curve with these watering systems, because these ones, they're not automatic, they're not powered. You don't plug it in. It's just it's gravity built. Yes. Yep. So it's gonna do what it's gonna do. Ain't nobody there to tell it, hey, oh, you're overflowing,
Right.
So be careful for that. I think it's amazing. You're gonna, dude.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
only problem that I have to say, though, the only thing that I notice is, like, we can make all this stuff automated, right? But we cannot take ourselves out of this, because we need to be there to talk to the plant, to give the plant the love, and because love is one thing and attention is one thing that these plants need. Even though we can make it automated, and we can do that, we still need to be able to poke our heads in and be like, hey baby, you okay? All right, girl, you gotta give your bud some love, and they will love you back. Definitely.
Absolutely. They're like my children, and I don't have any pets or children, unfortunately, because I can't have kids, and my dog, that's okay. I'm okay with that, because I have expensive habits.
Shit, man.
And yeah, so, if I had a kid, no disrespect, I love children. And I have a niece but I think it was God's plan, because he was like, you got expensive habits. If you have a kid, you're not going to have that habit. So, like,
you will not.
Yeah. So, like, like I said earlier, I'm addicted to technology. So the next I have shiny object syndrome, is what my buddy with the soil company calls it, because he's like, you're changing it again. And I'm like, yeah, I'm changing it again. And he's like, you're the only person I know that changes it up every time you grow. I said, hey, I like to try the new stuff.
It's your grow. You can do whatever the fuck you want, man. Shit, man. Don't let everybody out there, don't let anybody tell you what to do with your grow. It is your grow, man.
Exactly.
You do what the fuck you want. Shit.
Definitely.
If you want to switch it up and make a new bed, do it. Why not? Shit. But the shiny thing syndrome, as you can tell, I have that too. A little bit.
Yeah. I got one of those too. It's in the closet. I don't wear it because, unfortunately, the town I live in now, if you go downtown with that on, you won't have it around your neck. Somebody will get it. I promise you. It's not good. We just had, and not to bring up bad stuff, but we have shootings so bad here in the county I live in that we are actually ranked higher than Detroit now in the state of Michigan. We are considered pretty much number one for homicides and murders. And when I say that, it happens every night in this county, that I became addicted to listening to the police scanner in my old age.
Oh man, that's what my brother's wife's mom did that. And I know what it sounds like, because it's kind of exciting to hear what's going on. Like, oh shit, somebody's there's this going on, and then everything was all good until they heard my name come on. Right?
Same here. My parents were the same way. They used to listen to it all the time growing up in the house. We had one in our dining room, a big tower with a big antenna, and my grandpa and grandma listened to it all my life. And until they heard my name come across there more than once in 1 week. And that was it. She shut it off. And then that became dated. It don't work no more because everything went digital. But now you can download an app called Broadcastify, and you can listen to scanners from anywhere in the world right on your cell phone, any city you want.
Dude, that has to be not smart for cops, dog. Like, if I'm a criminal, I can just download this app and be like, pull some shit way over. I mean, come on, dude. That.
Yeah, but and that's the other side of it that I kind of grew up to. So like, I'm listening, but like I said, it's so bad that we had a guy driving down the street last night, and another guy popped him off while he was driving, and he crashed into a house. That guy died, while his best friend in the passenger seat was trying to hold pressure on the gun wound to keep him alive. it didn't turn out that way, unfortunately. But this is the type of stuff we're seeing in this town. And most of these guns are stolen guns that have the serial numbers ground off them. And they're finding them in the rivers and stuff here. And it's not good. It's not good. We just had a guy that went missing 6.5 years ago from Electric Forest, one of the biggest electric music festivals in the United States. We have it right here. And they found him in a swamp. They found his remains just this week. You know, I mean, 6.5 years it took for the family to get justice. So it's not a good area if you don't know where you're going. Let me tell you that. You got to stay on the right side of the tracks.
Man, it's a shame that things are going like that, you know.
Yeah, it really is.
I wanted to go into your life a little bit, but there was something that I wanted to talk about also that you had brought up on or on the Growers Cultivation Network. You were talking about there is no community without you and I, right?
That is correct.
I love that saying, brother. You have absolutely just a beautiful, beautiful saying. I love that one. Like you guys said that you have a lot of models, but that one you need to make yours. And I just might take that one and use it myself because
a lot of people have used it, you know, in even on different avenues and industries. You know, I got a friend that is a life coach in content creation. That's what her channel's about. If anybody out there is into content, check out Nikki Sanders. Just type it in YouTube. You'll find her. You'll love her content. She's from Jersey. And
Nikki Sanders, you said?
Nikki Sanders. Nickky Sanders. Sanders. She talks about everything there has to do with, you know, being a creator. And that's what she specializes in, is education and teaching you how to do stuff and all that. But, you know, she even agreed with it when I commented on one of her videos. She's like, you know, that is so true. And it is, because there would be no community without you and I. You can't spell the word, and truly in the flesh, there would be no community. So we got to rely on everybody out there to kind of do their part, but at the same time, be kind, you know, and you never realize what somebody's secretly struggling with right next to you. Right. You know, we all have struggles, me included. You know, I live day to day. You know, a lot of people can't live that way. It's too much stress, you know, but literally when it comes to what I do for a living and my bills, I literally live day to day. Like if I don't work today, I might not eat tomorrow. And that's just being honest with you. That's the gruesome reality, you know, and a lot of people don't like to hear that truthfulness. And sometimes they got to hear somebody like me help them bring the story out of them and say, hey, you know, it's all right, you know. And some of us, me included, we cry in silence, but we make it through it, you know. And that's just the toughness of how we were raised, you know. And every man has a soft spot. I don't care who you say he is, that he has a soft spot. It might be women, it might be weed, it might be money, it might be something, but every man has a soft spot. Me, it's good weed and good women. And no disrespect again, but my thing is Mexican women. It really is. And that's my thing, you know.
That's a good taste.
Until they throw a slipper at you. Wait till they throw a slipper at you, then you'll know.
Yeah, that's the chocolate.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, I've learned the hard way with a couple of my exes, but you know, I learned to be honest too. So you know, that when my grandmother passed away from open heart surgery, you know, I lost both my grandparents tragically.
Yes, rest in heaven, man.
And she told me to live an honest life, you know, before she passed away. I was on probation as she was getting ready to go into surgery and everything. I was approaching my 3rd month of a 6-month term of probation and community service for the stupidest charge I've ever gotten, which was cannabis. I got charged with cannabis, and I got booked into a small county jail. When I say small, I'm saying the town's probably less than 2,000 people across the whole city. And they literally booked me in, took my fingerprints, and let me leave, booked out with my lawyer, all in with like 2 hours. But The downfall of it is, paying the lawyer fees to go to a different county because it happened to the next county over. It was like 3 times the standard charge per hour. And,
Ugh.
and then, on top of that, I had my medical card, but I didn't have it in the flesh. It was coming. So this was 2009. It was coming and in the mail, and I didn't have the actual card. So when I got caught, I was guilty as anybody else.
Now
And
you're busted for possession and shit.
yep.
And
And then
da.
I got my card halfway through and presented it. So they allowed me to drop for THC and be okay. But anything else in my system, I wasn't allowed. And I was like, this is so stupid. And then they made me take an alcohol anonymous class for cannabis. Yes.
Yeah.
And
or NA, or yeah,
and a bunch of other things. And it was like, this isn't related. But then my grandmother passed the 3rd month in, and my probation worker dropped all charges and expunged it off my record because of what I was dealing with, of having to plan a whole funeral and life insurance and just everything on my shoulders. And my grandmother told me live an honest life, and I promised her before she went into surgery that I would, because I lived a lot of life of lie and not who I was, truly who I was. And I learned, you can't do that, because it's harder to remember your lies than it is to tell the truth. So,
Facts.
yeah,
Might as
yeah,
well just tell the truth, man. Right?
yep. So that's my advice to anybody out there that wants to live a better life. Every day ain't perfect, but you can definitely make it through if you ain't lying, and you have that peace with yourself at the end of the day, because the only person you're lying to at the end of the day is yourself when you're lying. Because if nobody knows but it's just gonna eat at you, and you're gonna be like, man, that ain't me. Why does people think that's me? I've seen it in the creator field. I've seen people. I won't say names, but I've seen people out there that have came out early COVID or before the pandemic, and they might have worn masks because they were before it was legal where they were at or whatever. They didn't want to show their face, and they blew up so much that they couldn't keep up with wearing the mask because it became troublesome. Now they have to try to expose themselves to who they are as a person and hope that they are accepted by the same community that they built. And it's not an easy thing to do. That's why you got to be genuine from the start.
Facts, man. That's why, it was such a easy thing for me to do, to come on here and do this, because it was just me doing me, man.
You got a personality, dude. Like
that personality, baby.
Like if I was to walk into like BizCon or something and I just heard your voice, I would know it was you. Like because it's you, dude. Like there's no one else in this space like you. You have that energy that is so up there. Like if I was to have a party, I know who I'm bringing. I'm bringing you.
Almost dead.
I'm bringing Frankiezz.
I met him at BizCon too, real quick.
Man, he's got so much energy, and he knows everybody. And them are the type of people I'd want to surround myself with, is people that are so positive that it would make me feel good. Because there's, and I'm not saying that every person that I've had on isn't special. These are just people that I personally could see my vibe and going so good that I would not regret one moment of it. Like,
hell yeah, man. Hey, you better be there next year at NJ BizCon.
I'm trying. Sure. The biggest thing is every year I try to get in and get my tickets. My sponsors, they choose somebody else. Unfortunately, they probably have a bigger reach.
The best advice that I would say is to get them early, because Green Year he got him like half off because he got him right away. So make sure to get it right away. Save up for it when it's announced. Get it then, because if you don't, it's $400 just to get in. And well, for me, I got lucky. All right. If I didn't know the From the Stash podcast crew, shout out to those guys. Shout out to Pitchins, Mr. Grower, and Wink for not showing up. But yeah, man, I got lucky. So next year I'm definitely buying them early. That's my advice. But you better be there, bro. You better be there.
I'm trying, because a lot of people have reached out to me. Even MJ reached out to me. Here's the downfall. I had tickets this year, but no, you are the only person that knows this, and now everybody else knows this. I got the email, but it went to the spam folder after it already started. So I went to check because she's like, why didn't you fill out the paperwork? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I never got any paperwork. So I started searching and I find it in the spam folder. And I'm like, because she sent it from Acrobat Reader or something like that. And it flagged it, the attachment, as spam risk. So it never got to me. So I never knew because me and my one buddy were going to literally carpool it out and split the gas costs and just car camp for a night or two and not even care. You know, we'd eat Taco Bell. We're not looking to be a big deal. We just want to get there.
Yeah.
And, we didn't know that they gave me content creator tickets, and they just started doing that last year. So make sure you get in on that because it might not cost you anything.
Nice. I'm definitely gonna do that. Yeah, no, I think I was flagged put on. No, I was from the Stash crew, so I didn't get all that. Next time I'm gonna go with media or creator and get that too. I can't believe it. Oh no, that sucks.
Yeah, it sucks so bad because we were like, well, we're not gonna go, you know, we planned to not go. And then all of a sudden I checked, like it was like the second or third day of MJ. And I'm like, are you serious? We could have been there. Like, so we'll see, and hopefully, you know, I can start budgeting now.
Now you know, so now you're gonna budget, and you're gonna be checking your spam folder just in case, right?
Exactly.
Right,
yes.
Well, hey, our hour is up, and I wanted to thank you so much for coming on. You absolutely killed it as usual.
Definitely.
Now wanted to say, is there anything else that you want to say? I want to say, like, is there any more motivational speeches or anything that you wanted to tell the people out there?
Well, you know, the biggest one my grandfather said, you know, and I say this all the time, is you just got to grow the plant. You just got to get in there and dig in. But you also, you know, the biggest thing you got to remember is you're going to make mistakes. And if it happens, it happens. It's an experience. You're going to learn from it. Because at the end of the day, you can't buy experience. And what I mean by that is you can't put a price on any experience you've had. You really can't.
No.
And that's the biggest thing. You know, the more experience you have, the farther you're going to go. So take and keep trying. And if you mess up, figure out what went wrong and correct it and try again.
Try again, baby. Keep it up, man. Get you guys, just jump in and do it. Just jump in and try it, man. Trust me, you'll love it. If you catch the bug like we did, you will be hooked for life. And you get to join this badass community that we have. So
definitely.
I mean, shit, we would accept anybody either way. Just if you love cannabis, then we'd accept you. So either way, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on, brother. Where are your socials? Where can everybody find you?
You can find us, you know, pretty much anywhere you can type in Organically Blunt. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts.
Do you have a link tree?
We have a link tree right in our bio. You can find that. But we're going to be getting rid of the link tree very soon because I'm going to be buying the domain for our website that we will build someday. It's not going to be built right away, but pretty soon you'll be able to type in like organicallyblunt.com and it's going to take you right to our YouTube channel. But for the time being, you kind of got to search for us a little bit by typing it in or go to our Instagram, Organically Blunt. Links in the bio. You can find us there or anywhere else you type YouTube. For example, you type in Organically Blunt, you're going to find us there as well. So we're getting ready we're so close to, hopefully we can, before the end of the January, we're hoping to hit 100,000 views on the channel. So yeah.
Oh yeah, brother. I hope you get there, man. I hope you get there. As for sponsors, did you want to bring up Seedsman or anything?
Because yeah, definitely. You know,
both of us, we both have a Seedsman code, so you can put in Sly, or you can put in, what's your code?
Our code is Organically Blunt, all one word. You can use that almost pretty much any company you can think of that comes to mind. Try it, because I guarantee you're going to be surprised where you're going to find a discount. You know, we list them all on our outro, but, you know, I got to give shout out to the two biggest sponsors and partners of the channel that keep it going and continue to let me make new content for you guys, and that is Seedsman Genetics and Grow Bags. Without them two, I wouldn't be who I am today. You know, if you can't grow a quality genetic, make sure to head over to Seedsman and find some quality genetics if you don't know where to get them. And then when you're ready to harvest, take the guesswork out of, popping them jars. Maybe you'll ruin the whole harvest because you forgot to pop them and then let that moisture out. Put them in the grow bags. Just put it in the bag. That's my slogan for 2025. We're going to be coming out with a whole series for grow bags coming up this end of this month. Just
Speaking
put
of
it
which,
in. Yep,
just grow bag.
Yep,
Right
just
here.
put it in the bag, and if you use grow bags and you want to be part of my reel that I'm going to be putting together, all I need you to do is send me a picture of you holding up a grow bag and say, just put it in the bag and I'll put you in the reel.
Bro, right here, dog. You're going to have to have me on there.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to do is reach out to everybody that I knew uses them and just give them a chance to be in my reel, because I'm sure Grow Bags is going to use it for some promotional stuff as well. But, I try to help them get their name out. We did one. You can see the reel on our channel, and then I'll get off here because I'll talk forever. But stop breaking jars. You ever drop a jar full of buds? It's not fun. So you ain't got to worry about that with the bag.
That's what the grow bags are for, baby. And I also have grow bags sent over a little bit of something. They haven't given me a code yet, but yeah. Beautiful, brother. You absolutely killed it. Thank you so much for being on, man.
Yep.
Everybody out there, you know where to go find him. Go find Jay. Give him some support. Let's get him up to that 100,000 views on YouTube, baby. And yeah, man, we're definitely gonna have you on for part 2, brother.
Definitely. Anytime. You're welcome back with us anytime as well.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, you already know, baby. I'm here for anything, so I'm down like Charlie Brown, baby.
Definitely.
All right, man. Everybody have a good time. Make sure to go check out Grow Bags. Seedsman, hit both our codes. I'm going to be putting in all the links and descriptions in there where you can find the homie. And yeah, come check us out next time on the next episode of CannaConvos. Lates.